Beyond truth and lies are the stories without answers. Welcome to Dragonsbread. Occasionally we get surprised. But when we're mystified by our surprise, we like to call it coincidence. A seemingly random visit from an old friend, or perhaps a run-in with a forgotten enemy. A last-minute decision or freak event that changes our life. But what happens when we try to dance with randomness? Can we still be mystified? Do we break coincidence? Or will we be swept away by the forces we work so hard to ignore? These are the questions found in Joshua Langfelder's story. Welcome to the episode we're calling Counter Delusion.
Whenever you start getting goosebumps and feeling really creeped out, so spooked out, like, that's when you know. Like, okay. My friend is one of these people who had an experience with the strange, and it went too far, and he had to go to a mental facility. He was being haunted by these reptilian, shape-shifting snakes, he said, that were taking the form of me and my father. That's where it's just like, when you can't fit into society, he was throwing himself off a balcony and stuff because they were telling him to do that. Like, that is too far.
I basically took about 6 months off because my father had had a stroke. I was his sole caregiver. He and my mom had just divorced. He has no memory. I'm having to tell my dad, like, look, you're divorced from my mom. Super fucked up. He was abusive. He was like an old boxer. He's a SMU professor. He's a really smart guy, but after the stroke, he lost his mind kind of. And so I had a lot of time off. And I was looking into making this sort of grassroots storytelling game. I didn't really have a good idea of what I wanted to do, but I sincerely sat down and was like, okay, I want to learn this ARG, and I want to make one of these. I was going through that sort of dark night of a soul period, and I started looking into stuff that there was a distinct change where I was like, okay, no, now I'm going to look into all that just otherness and weird stuff. There was a pivotal moment on August 4th of 2018. Underground warehouse rave. Yeah, it's kind of grungy. It's a lot of burners. It's like a Burning Man hangout in Dallas. Proton was the name. And yeah, I was just on the dance floor, and all of a sudden, this blue light hits me. I had resumed a dream on the dance floor. And it was like, I wasn't on the dance floor anymore. I just remember this guy talking to me, and it was very urgent. And it was like, as soon as I would get confused or something, he would have to pull back and stop. But as soon as I kind of got some coherence and started paying attention again, he could keep going and like telling me about just weird stuff. It was like 4D manifestation, ascension. The main thing was universal consciousness. You could tap into some force and have like all of the knowledge of the universe in your little monkey brain. This is all like starseed buzzword stuff that I had never heard of. I really was confused. It really didn't give me any answers, but it set me on a path. And then once I Googled what they told me to search for, that sort of validated it. I think that is when I really started to realize those things that I had a gut feeling about, I really needed to listen to. And then I tell you exactly what I did. I started looking for treasure. So I was looking into just like magic. One of my friends showed me some like trinkets he found in the desert just from like wandering around. And I thought that was super cool. So I contacted like the divine feminine and asked her to hook me up with a treasure spirit. Literally just like sitting in my backyard with a fire going, maybe smoke some weed, dance around a little bit, like putting myself back to where I initially got those messages. It was when I was looking for treasure that I was in a memetics chat room where we were discussing memes and how ideas are transmitted virally. And someone entered that chat room and they said, here's my name, here's my research, I have a bot that sends you to random places. And the first thing I said was, oh, that would be a great idea for an ARG game. This is exactly what I had been looking for, right? This project had been going on for about 12 years. I took this name, Unitive Consciousness, as my moniker, and I created a repository on Reddit, which is where I first introduced my company's information and started putting those documents out. We got the thing online. I got the bot running on my computer. I planned in advance, okay, at this time, I am going to go on my first random point. I go there and it's a cemetery. And I drive into the cemetery and I really think that the MIB might be there to debrief me, or like a portal is going to open or something. I really didn't know. And what was at the point was this sign that just said, the Garden of Inspiration. Okay, that's it. That was my message from the universe or something. After my Garden of Inspiration story, the second random place I went to, all I found was a bottle of piss. And so this guy, he's a journalist and he's writing about our project Randonauts. And he goes all around London and he doesn't find anything. And he's like, I didn't find anything. And I was like, well, did you find a piss bottle? He was like, oh my God. And he actually had taken a picture of one that day. The story kind of made sense for him after that. So like all of a sudden people start finding bottles of piss around the world.
Well, anyway, when I go randonauting the third time, I find this drum. My friend, he went to the mental hospital. He got off drugs. He's okay now. He's fine. And I take him to the drum and I'm like, dude, how weird is this? And then all of a sudden he goes, look, at eye level, hanging from a vine is a snake pendant that I hadn't noticed when I went there at first. We looked at each other with just this feeling because we both knew what the snakes meant. That was like the defining thing of his psychosis. And then later on, I go back to this place and I almost step on a bright red rattlesnake. It shakes its tail and I get that feeling all through my body of just, ooh, this is something else. Goosebumps, that's the best way I can put it, is when you feel like a chill up your spine. And it was just too many synchronicities and just strangeness.
So at first I was really out there like posting the things I found. And then it was when I found that weird drum, it really took off.
6:15, have you heard of Randonaut?
Viral social media video claims to show the discovery of human remains near Alpine. The questions it's raising tonight.
He's not there and the truck is not there. What the fuck? What the fuck?
Nearly 3 hours.
So I had already been doing Randonauts for about a year. It was going good. It hasn't really popped off, but it was, we were a company. I, at that point, had gotten my dad into a care facility, and I was working full-time doing air conditioning repair. So the first day of 2020, I started burning fires in my backyard. There was a hatchet that my dad had that his dad would chase him around the house with. And my dad would hold this hatchet and spitefully go, "I won," because his dad died. And he held onto this thing. It was like a token of like our generational hate and shame and fucked upness. On the last day when my lease was up, I was to burn the hatchet and bury its blackened head with salt. I just decided to do this. I have beer, I'm having a party basically by myself with my dog. Yeah, I would just look at the stars and sometimes cry and sometimes laugh. And then a voice in my head starts talking to me. And I have never had this happen to me before or since. It's like a snake guy. He was mad at me because I was interfacing with human systems using my consciousness. That is his dimension. But clearly he told me things are about to get very good for you. And then I get this vision of like this crystal like thing with roots. It was like a castle in the sky. It shoots energy into my body. And then of me with a woman in a house. And so, literally as I'm doing the ritual where I'm burning the hatchet, and I had been talking to this girl, she's like calling me, and she's like, "Are you gonna bail on our Zoom date?" It was like I don't know, I got hooked up. My lease was up, I moved back in with my mom, and then a month later I moved in with my fiance. Actually, we just got engaged.
Relations.
Yeah. 9 months later, here I am.
I'll
videos, and episode soundtracks, visit tuimedia.com. Or if you'd like to contribute, visit our Patreon page at patreon.com/tuimedia. Also, if you like what we're up to, please rate and review the show on iTunes or wherever you're listening, because it really does matter. All right, folks, that's a wrap. Stay true. Catch you on the next episode. So I'm a vet that's been trying to do the conscious business thing for a while now, so I've been keeping my ears and eyes open, looking out for outlaw do-gooder types. And by that, I just mean people that are willing to cut through the bullshit to do a good thing. Combat flip-flops was on my radar early. These dudes walk into active and recovering war zones, and they make flip-flops, jewelry, and apparel from exploded ordnance. For every product they sell, they put an Afghan girl to school. So, to join their unarmed forces and help support vets promoting peace through great products, visit combatflipflops.com.